Okay, testing.
So I don't see it as an option here. Refresh. It's not done.
So I think there's a sort of attention for weddings. And everybody. Yes, I know. Yes. For slides, for music. So refresh.
We have our first.
There's one person on.
Is there a person on?
1, 2, back to 1. Zero.
Testing. You can hear it. It's delayed. Okay. If you'll wait just a couple minutes, I'll go publish it to the website.
Okay.
And then a couple people have refound us because it's on our webpage. But it is recording, so people could watch it. So I don't know what messed it up the first time. Okay.
So wait
We need
until,
to wait a few minutes?
I can wait a couple minutes because I'll need to post it to the website.
you want to just text?
Yeah. Okay.
Any idea how many people we had on before we had to take it down?
15.
15 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're getting pretty good, Brian.
That works.
Now we're back to 0 people.
Here.
We can put a comment on the old link or the old meeting with the new link.
Yeah. It's turned 18 Is he going to, older? Go to see you.
Oh, big sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big enough place so that maybe not one that you had a job.
Yeah, but she can still keep tabs. There you go. You got a ways to go, girl. 13.
Goes
I'm
fast.
sorry, a teenager. Your youngest though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, we're up to 3.
How old is it?
7.
Two,
We'll be old and.
1.
Not late, but they're late.
Just me.
It's just you.
You won't be older than me.
No,
Hey, Brian, is the updated link in there?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Is still skiing out there? Huh?
Yeah, there is still skiing out this way. It's, we're entering the mud season, but the ski slopes are still open. Still pretty quiet though.
Been out, Chris? That way?
I went out, I went to Monarch a week and a half ago. And there was some really fresh
We're up to 6.
waist deep. And
I'm
so.
thinking about trying to get out one more time.
I'm supposed to get snow, I know I'm gonna park this weekend, I got a notification on that,
It could be up to a foot.
yeah.
No cost for that.
Yeah.
Another 3.
Costly. The late night, yeah. Well, you can hear the meeting here all day long. But it's not all that, valley, yeah. How about now, are you seeing it, Brad?
I've got it, but I'm waiting for Tina to confirm that she's got it,
We're up to 7 people.
restarted and
Eight.
posted it on the website.
Okay, so.
I'm not exactly sure where she's talking about on the website.
Want me to text her?
I texted that. Okay. I'm gonna put the new link in the old place.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing that people are getting in. Here, we're not talking about. You should be talking. I'm really.
Okay.
Okay.
She said, go ahead.
Go ahead, okay.
We're up to 9.
All right, we apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. We had some technical difficulty. We paused the meeting to correct it, and we shall pick up where we left off, which was public comment. So, public comment, please be aware that any personnel or individual student matters are considered confidential under Colorado law, and it is out of respect of that law and our employees that students that we require that those discussions take place privately in executive session. It is requested that comments be limited to 5 minutes. The intent of public comment is to give the Board of Education the opportunity to hear your comments. However, it does not imply that action will be taken by the board. So we have one public comment by Joe Lauren, and the comment is as such. A parent has brought to my attention concerns that children at WPMS are being taught content aligned with Black Lives Matter movement, particularly found within the 7 Mindsets Equity and Education material. The 7 Mindsets website includes multiple references to joining and becoming part of their social activist, quote, movement, unquote. Their literature includes the following statements regarding the social activism and political philosophy of the 7 Mindsets movement as follows. 7 Mindsets stands firmly with the Black community in this fight against, and I think he inserted that, countless injustices. Inequity is deeply rooted in contemporary society. Do not judge all protesters by the most violent participants. The pursuit of equity, justice, and inclusion is an emotional process. Recognize the expression of others as an opportunity to learn the experiences and challenges that influence the movement. Implicit bias allows systems of oppression to be built into political, systemic, and economic factions. Resist hurtful information. The internet is filled with information, opinions, and expressions that further the culture of oppression and inequity in our society and education. Participation in these devices are in direct opposition of growth and equality. Sorry. The parent confirmed that this type of content was being imposed upon the students by the teacher. Does this board deny that 7 Mindsets Equity and Education is being taught and includes highly political content from a movement for justice with similar ideology to Black Lives Matter? Number 2, Teller County officials have confirmed for me that neither Teller County nor the state of Colorado has any COVID restrictions that would preclude parents from attending RE2 board meetings. Under what specific order, regulation, or policies Are parents currently being locked out of board meetings? When will parents be allowed to attend these meetings? Thank you, Joe Moore. So we have the board meetings on YouTube. What about the work sessions and all of that? Are we gonna have people back in the building anytime
Well,
soon?
Right now, we're not.
No?
We're not really because our numbers are going up. So we're holding on to the end of the school year. We're trying to make sure that we can make it to graduation without having, keeping as many kids in as possible. So we have some parents attending some athletic events and things like that outside. So, I mean, we've got some things going on, but parents only and limited, and really just trying to make it so that our kids can make it to the end of the school year. Yeah. Yeah, we're watching the numbers really, really carefully, and they've been going up, so that's what we're concerned about.
Okay. Any other?
That being said, I would like to make a statement.
Go ahead.
So Mr. Moran references a parent that has concerns about what's being taught in the classroom. I would request that parent actually goes to the teacher and or the administration rather than have a third party come around. That way the concern can more appropriately be addressed.
Thank you, Beth. Yes. So yeah, that's typical. So what happens is if there's a concern, it goes directly to the teacher or the principal. And then if it is not yet addressed at that level, then it goes to the superintendent, and then from there on, it comes to the board. Good? Anything else? Okay. Next is consent calendar. I need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second?
Austin,
Aye. Dowdy? Aye. Graber?
Aye.
Huber?
Aye.
Me? Aye. Information items, legislative update. Mr. Gus.
All right, good evening. You should have in front of you the legislative update for today, April 14th, 2021. Since the last time we met, there was the quarterly March 2021 revenue forecast, which overall provided some pretty positive news as it reflected upon the state of the economy in Colorado and where it's headed. A quote from the Legislative Council in their packet from that forecast is, worst chapters of the pandemic-induced recession appear to be behind us. That being said, though, we're still seeing the economic distribution of the restoration of the economy. I'm pretty polar opposite ends for high wage employment and then low wage workers. So the high wage employment is really being restored rapidly, and then not so much at the low wage. So obviously something that we'll have to continue to monitor as we think about the funding for next year. And there are, of course, still significant risks to the state economy, including inflation, any virus variants, rises in the COVID as far as spreading through communities, whether that's local or statewide, whatever. And then, of course, federal fiscal policy, which is impacting all the schools right now. Regarding the specifics of the 2021 Colorado legislative session, I'll touch on a few. The big one, of course, is the School Finance Act, and that's part of the long bill. The long bill is what sets the state budget, and right now the long bill has proceeded through the House of Representatives and is being worked on by the Senate. And we hope that they then can start to look at the School Finance Act in the next week or so. I was a little more optimistic previously on the School Finance Act being done early, but I think we're still probably looking at getting into late May before we really know the numbers there, because there are still going to be some adjustments, modifications, and amendments that are going to be introduced and proposed along the way. So stay tuned there. Anything I could share as early as, or as recently as this morning, is still speculation on what may happen with the School Finance Act. A couple other bills have already kind of gone through the process and lost out. And one of those was one we were watching closely called the School Discipline Bill. That's Senate Bill 182. That would have required a standardized reporting method to report discipline data, as well as some disaggregated reports, breaking out the data by violations by race, ethnicity, gender, etc., and also putting in some prohibitions on arresting students and how that occurs in schools. That bill has already lost and been postponed indefinitely. That's something that we were watching, but also our law enforcement partners were watching closely too. So that one is finished. One I touched on last month, and you know, it's still progressing. It's under consideration, is the total program mill levy tax credit. That's the one where, remember, CDE would be required to adopt a correction schedule to begin phasing out those tax credits, the first of which we certified in December, property tax credits. Going back to the Mesa case in 2009, where it was determined by the Supreme Court that CDE erroneously reduced or required districts to erroneously reduce the mills that they were levying. So that's going back to when we debruced, so to speak, basically stepped out of some taper requirements there. And so now we're on a path to get our mills up to 27. We're currently 22.55 plus the mill levy override. This bill, if signed into law, would require CDE to phase those tax credits. The one we issued in December was 4.45 mills. Phase those out as quickly as possible, but at a rate of not more than 1 mill per year, and having about 19 years to do it. It wouldn't take us 19 years to do it, but it would, I guess, systematically increase the mills that we'd be required to levy on property taxes. And that would be by state law. So obviously we're watching that one carefully, knowing that our program funding is supposed to be determined by the School Finance Act and the program, the total program, based primarily on property taxes. But we've also added mill levy override, sales tax revenues, to try and address the negative factor and some other things. So watching how this might impact our revenues and what we have to do with mills and taxes. It's a pretty complicated one. It's supposed to be heard on the calendar on April 21st. And if you have questions on these, shoot, and I'll try and answer them. Next one I'll touch on is one dealing with online student protections. You know, obviously, this is kind of the new frontier in education, the really broad online experience for students. And this would address prohibitions to the schools and local education providers, making sure that there can't be prohibitions on the online student's parent being present. It would have to would prohibit the schools from recording online students without prior written approval. Would prohibit imposing requirements concerning the online student's physical environment, as well as items dealing with discipline, suspension, expulsion. They may come with conduct from students in online environments as well. So again, under consideration, that will be worked on tomorrow, April 15th, and something we'll be watching. Ideally, we're back to a mode in the fall where we've got a whole lot of folks in-person environment, but this is going to be kind of a new reality for certainly some segments of the learning population. The next one after that, House Bill 1055, school board compensation. This would remove restrictions on school board members not being allowed to be compensated for their time on a board. There are clarifications that any modification cannot occur during an officer's or member's term in office. And it would also require that a written resolution exist to set compensation rates for officers and other members. So again, another one under consideration that we'll watch there. Let's go ahead and flip the page and look at cannabis-based medicine at schools, Senate Bill 056. And again, one that's being listened to or on the calendar this week. Currently, school districts can permit or actually have to permit primary caregivers to possess and administer cannabis-based medicine on school grounds. Okay, principals have some discretion on where to store, the possession, administration of those medicines, etc. This bill would remove that discretion and then require you, the school board, to implement policies allowing for storage, possession, and administration of such medicines. This would also impose upon the school districts the policy to create a written treatment plan for the administration of these medicines and adopt policies regarding actual administration. So again, another something that might have to, if signed into law, might impact our at least early part of the school year, getting policies passed and communicated to families and whatnot and administered. All of these, of course, would come with some sort of fiscal note, and I don't know what the fiscal note is on most of these yet. We'll have to wait for that information. The next one is extending the deadline for training to teach reading. This is House Bill 1129. Currently, our kindergarten through third grade teachers have until the end of the 21-22 year to provide evidence of completing some training in teaching reading. This bill would extend that deadline until the beginning of the 22-23 year. Again, being heard tomorrow in the Senate Education Committee. And Linda, I don't know if you wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, this was a pretty big undertaking. Every single one of our teachers that teaches reading, whether it be a classroom teacher or an interventionist, is required to take 45 hours of reading instruction. They had a couple of different options. CDE had a couple of different online options, but that's a significant amount. And really, they just came, that CDE just got the coursework together probably November, I think, of this year. And the original requirement was that they were supposed to have it all done before the start of next year. So they immediately moved it to January, and I think this is going to move it a little bit further so that they have a little bit more time. If we have any teachers that are teaching reading that have not met the requirements, then our READ dollars that we get about $80,000 in READ money, and that's targeted to really help any of our students that are not at grade level. So there were a lot of districts that were really worried because we didn't even have the coursework yet. You could have a couple of other endorsements. Teachers could have a master's in reading, for example, and that would count. But I think we had basically all of our staff, all but 2 or 3 met it in one other way. All the others had to take CDE course. So that's a lot of hours to get in less than a year for a teacher. So anyway, that's been our teachers are amazing. They're working through it. They're doing it, and we gave teachers 2 of our work days, for example, for them to be able to work on the courses, and we're giving them credit and that sort of thing, and they'll have the summer to work on it. So we are moving forward, and we're pretty confident that we'll meet I think we're pretty confident that we'll even meet the original deadlines. We're for sure going to be able to meet the ones the following year. That'll work.
The last one I'll point out is the final one down at the bottom there, the K-12 seizure training individualized action plans, House Bill 1133. And that would require schools to provide seizure-related training to school personnel, specifically those personnel that would have direct contact with students who may have a seizure disorder. And it would work out communication between the parents of those students and the school, and how that communication is conducted, and then how plans are put in place to train staff and then take care of those kids. That one's not yet on the calendar, but coming and under consideration. So those are a snapshot of a whole bunch. There's still, as we talked before, there have been over 50 education-related bills, most of which are not on the calendar yet, or in status, not calendared, but working through the process. And so hopefully some different ones come up next month, and I'll touch on those as they come around. But if you have questions on them, let me know. And also, I know CASB at least monthly releases an email that hits on 3 or 4. I know the mill levy one was one that is addressed this month.
Questions?
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Linda, is that you? Concurrent dual enrollment opportunities?
That looks like,
Is that old?
that's old.
Okay, never mind. Board action items.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Sorry,
We're
looking at
on.
the wrong one.
Yeah.
Board action items, here we go again. Resolution for Teacher Appreciation Week. Where is this? Mine's not marked because Kelly's not here.
I know. All those little things, it's like,
I know.
see if I can find that.
Okay, hold on, you find it.
That probably. Yeah, it's the very last one, right?
We have several to read. So.
Teacher appreciation week. Right?
I don't have it. In the back of this?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. I'll read this one. The following resolution will be read, and voted on at the meeting. Whereas teachers mold future citizens through guidance and education, and whereas teachers encounter students of widely differing backgrounds, and whereas our country's future depends on providing quality education to all students, and whereas teachers spend countless hours preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling and coaching students, and performing community service, and whereas our community recognizes and supports its teachers in educating the children of this community. Now therefore be it resolved, we the members of the Board of Education and Woodland Park School District RE2 proclaim May 3rd through 7th, 2021 as Teacher Appreciation Week. And be it further resolved that the Woodland Park School District RE2 strongly encourages all members of our community to join in personally expressing appreciation to our teachers for their dedication and devotion to their work. So I need a motion to approve.
Salute.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Austin?
Aye.
Dottie?
Aye.
Graver?
Aye.
Huber? Huber?
Aye.
Lucky? Aye.
Okay, then we have another one.
I
Oh, I found it.
Yeah.
And this one is the resolution for non-renewal of contract for interim superintendent Linda Murray. Whereas the Board of Education of the Woodland Park School District has reviewed the status of each teacher on the non-renewal list and has duly considered the matter of reemployment of said teachers for the 2021-2022 school year. Now therefore be it resolved that each teacher on the non-renewal list not be offered a contract for the 2021-2022 school year. And be it further resolved that the superintendent of schools or his designee is hereby directed to give timely written notice of said renewal to the teachers. So I need a motion to approve.
So move?
Second.
Second.
Austin?
Aye.
Dottie?
Aye.
Graver?
Aye.
Huber?
Aye.
Lucky. Aye. Okay, and then specific budget resolution.
So this is specific budget resolution number 4 for the fiscal year 21. Specific resolution number 3 was approved and adopted in January with the revised budget. This adds to that resolution. And this expenditure coming out of reserves is for district reading curriculum. And this occurs, I don't know how frequently, every 6 to
12
8
years ago. Well, let's see, 10 to 11 years ago. And this is part of READ Act as well too. So these will be in alignment with CDE's READ Act, and we've had a committee that's been meeting. We're not quite finalized on the process, but I'll give you more information at the next meeting.
So in analyzing our current financial position, the level of reserves, and the timing of acquiring the curriculum, we felt like this would be a good time this spring to go ahead and make this order to update the reading curriculum and then have that available for fall of 21-22. And so Lynn and her crew have analyzed, I think, 4 or 5 different packages. The package to be selected would fall within this range of $304,512 or below. To acquire and implement the new district reading curriculum. So this would have to come out of reserves, thus the specific budget resolution.
Questions? No? Okay. Specific budget resolution number 4, fiscal year 2020-2021. In accordance with CRS 22-44-105, the Board of Education of Woodland Park School District RE2 hereby authorizes the expenditures of fund balance for fiscal year 2020-2021 according to the following schedule. This resolution is in addition to specific resolution number 3 adopted January 27th, 2021. General fund, district reading curriculum, $304,512. These expenditures are one-time only and will not lead to deficit spending. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Woodland Park School District, RE2, adopts this resolution to appropriate expenditures in the above referenced manner. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Austin,
Aye.
Dottie,
Aye.
Graber,
Aye.
Huber,
Aye.
Lucky, aye.
And then last on the board action items is the director resignation. Beth, are you sure you want to read this?
If it's easier for you guys to read, I can read it.
Go ahead.
Can the
We can hear you.
online folks hear me if I read it?
I think so.
I think so.
Yep.
You're coming in pretty good.
You're clear.
Okay, very good. Well, I would like to say it has been a privilege to serve the Woodland Park School District community as a Board of Education member for over 8 years. I am exceptionally proud to have been a member of this Board of Education and honored to have served with each one of you. I want to thank the Woodland Park School District administration for always keeping the health, safety, and education of all district children, teachers, and staff as your guideposts and leading the district through the pandemic, and the district teachers and staff for your dedication to continuing a safe learning environment under extreme conditions. Words cannot begin to express my deepest gratitude for all of your efforts. Because of those efforts, I believe the district is primed for success as Dr. Matthew Neal takes the helm and moves the district forward. Unfortunately, I am not able to be a part of that new chapter, as it is time for me to step down from my position on the Board of Education. I humbly request you to accept my resignation as District Director B.
Who wants to start? Anyone?
Need a motion?
You want to something? Okay, I know the motion to accept the director resignation. I don't think you're gonna
There's
get
no motion. Nobody's gonna do
You're
it.
not gonna, it's not happening.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Austin?
Aye.
Dottie?
Aye.
Graber?
Aye.
You don't get a vote. Huber? Lucky? Aye.
Beth, it's gonna be different, not having you here at the helm as we can already see today. And your volunteer efforts in this community are impressive, and the contributions you've made for the eons you've been here people are very grateful for that. And thank you for your service here. It's as we all know, it's not always a well-received position, and you handled it pretty well. So thank you.
Thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I just want to echo, and more to come on this, I think, as we move forward. Little celebration and thankful to you, a little celebration of thanks. But this past year has been extremely trying and a lot of work, and for all of us, but I just have to commend you on your leadership through these tough times. Your very strong leadership for the board, the extra hours that you put in, all the years you've been here, but in particular this last this last season. So, again, more to come, but it's been an honor serving with you. So thanks, Beth. But no, thank you for
Thank you,
leading.
Nancy.
And I can't add to what's already been shared other than to say to you personally, Beth, that I have the utmost respect for you. And I know that this decision comes with a tremendous amount of thought. And so I respect your decision and appreciate everything that you have done, not only for the school district here, but for this community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And my extra piece would be just the passion, the energy, the representation of a wide, diverse community. So thank you for navigating all of that and supporting the school and supporting us as we made this journey together. And we're looking forward to what the next chapter holds.
Yeah, and I'd like to say on behalf of the district, the same thing. We appreciate all of your years of service. You know, you're here and you're supportive and involved, and we just really appreciate all of that. And especially this last year, you're right, it has been a very challenging year, and I really appreciate it as I kind of transitioned into this interim position. I really appreciate your support and your calmness and just everything that you did to help get us through this year.
Thank you, Linda. Really appreciate that.
Okay, last on the list is the reports, superintendent report.
Yeah, I think I passed one out to you, right? Yep. Okay, let's see, state testing, we're almost to the end. We're just into makeups now. So high school just completed all their SATs yesterday, their main day for SATs, and PSATs, of course, were today. We do have makeup days planned in towards the end of April on the 27th and 28th. Those are, you know, this is a state testing date, so they are set by the state. We can't change those dates at all. Grades 3 through 8, they completed English language arts for grades 3, 5, and 7, and math for grades 4, 6, and 8. Except for makeups, we still have some makeups going on. And then for some reason, CDE thought that 8th grade needed to do science, so they were working on that this week. But generally, all of our main testing sessions have been completed kind of as of today. Let's see, according to CDE, well, there's a little extra return in there. According to CDE, because it was a reduced testing schedule, we're not testing all kids. There were, you know, we still have a lot of students who were out in remote testing situations. So there are a lot of school districts across the state that are not testing a vast majority of their students. CDE had already made the decision that the results aren't going to be made public and they're not going to be used for accreditation purposes. Students will get their individual reports and so on, but it's going to be a little bit different as far as normally these test results go into accreditation and schools get you know, their little report card and, you know, their school performance framework based on these results. And that's not going to happen with these results because they know that there are so many kids that it was just an unusual year. That was kind of we're going to test, but we're not going to hold people, you know, schools accountable or post scores, because there are a lot of schools that are just barely coming back in and still have a lot of students or many students that have been out most of the year. So we're starting to see the end of the testing light. It was kind of a nice year in that it was a reduced schedule. So no student really had more than, well, no, I take that back. 8th grade had to do 6 sessions. Everybody else had to do 3 sessions. We're really excited about the start and stop times this year. You know, 4 years, Core Summit has been on a different schedule. This year, of course, was totally different because of all the COVID concerns, and we were running elementary versus secondary buses. But we worked really hard to come up with a plan for having all schools running essentially on the same timeline. And you can see the times that we have there. And of course, they're off a little bit because the buses have to get from point A to point B. The one change that we have, not change, but in order for this to work for Summit, we have to have some additional supervision because the buses will drop off at Summit, then come into town and drop off in town, and then the same thing on the way out. So the buses, the bus pickup and drop off times are longer. And, but we've got a nice plan for that. We're going to be offering additional supervision. Summit's going to be working on maybe doing some homework help and tutoring kinds of things and activities, so that we're going to have, they'll be able to really kind of work with some of their kids for that extra amount of time from the time the day is over until the time the bus picks them up. For parents, then all students will be on the bus at the same time. So, you know, out at Summit especially, you would have middle school kids that might get home an hour before their elementary kids would get home. And so now everybody's on the bus at the same time. So we're pretty excited about that. Let's see. We've struggled over the last several years with our preschool programs, trying to find staffing. There's a unique endorsement for our preschool teachers. Last year, we couldn't fill the positions. So we're looking to bring all of our preschool programs together for an early childhood center. And we're really excited about the opportunity for that. Last year, for example, we had teacher positions open in the 3 buildings, and we were not able to fill them. We were lucky because we had a retired teacher, Jill Cochran, came in and kind of helped us get through the year. But this will allow us to have all programs in the same place. They'll be able to collaborate. We'll be able to share teachers and be able to be much more efficient and really have the opportunity to grow a really robust early childhood center. So we're really excited about that. Let's see.
Linda, can I ask a question? So where is that going to be located?
Oh, it will be at Gateway. We already have the early childhood place program is there. And so it was really critical. We just couldn't move that one. So it made sense to build the rest of the early childhood programs around, you know, at that site so that they could all be together.
So is that going to present any family issues with Summit being so far away? I'm assuming those kids don't ride the bus.
They don't, and we've kind of looked into that. We've looked at that, and we've also looked at the timing so that there is enough time. The timing is such so that you could drop off and then come in and drop off a student at preschool and so on. So we're looking at same thing with kind of additional supervision kinds of things so that we can account for the different drop-off times. Let's see. We do have, you know, all of our registration is online this year. So we're asking everybody to go to the online site, but we are doing 2 in-person ones for our kinder and our preschool. We've always done Roundup before, you know, where the kids come in. And so we have it scheduled so that they came up with a great plan, actually. It's going to be at night, it's going to be after school, and parents will sign up for a time through Sly Reply so that at any given time, they'll kind of work their way through, you know, come to this station, this station, this station, and then go out, have a tour of the building and so on, so that at any given time, we don't have a huge crowd waiting in line or in any one place. So we do have in-person kindergarten at all 3 of the elementaries on April 20th, and then preschool on April 27th. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Let's see. We do have the masking reminders. You know, as we move into the spring, we have increased activities. Just a reminder that we're still requiring everybody to wear masks. We're really, and that includes the spectators at sports and all of those kinds of things. We're working really, really, really hard. Our focus is 100% on trying to keep kids in school. And it's a little bit, you know, our numbers have gone up a little bit in some of our activities and spring break, and things are kind of loosening up just a little bit. So we just are really focused on wanting to make sure that kids aren't quarantined, and especially as we get into the very end of the school year for some of those big events. So that's why we're just trying to keep those protocols really going so that we can make sure that kids can participate and we don't have any outbreaks and, you know, that sort of thing. Then along with that, what's been really kind of interesting is I want to applaud our staff for a variety of reasons. Some, you know, we've come up with some interesting ways to keep some of our traditions or maybe create new traditions in this weird time. And one is, of course, the live streaming of sports activities, events. That's been amazing, you know, and so I have a feeling that that's going to be with us as we move forward. I think that's been really, really interesting, helpful. We're looking at ways to make it even better and more efficient and so on. But I think that that's been really helpful. And then some of the other buildings have looked at a variety of things. Like I know Columbine normally does a grandparents' day, and they did a virtual grandparents' day this year. They also had a little dress-up book character for their day for their readathon, and they filmed that for the parents. Gateway had a rock, paper, scissors tournament that they could do with the kids, which was kind of interesting for a fundraiser. And they've had some virtual bedtime stories for during, they all do kind of readathon kinds of things. Normally we have a literacy night for parents at the elementary level, and we couldn't do that because that's bringing a lot of parents in and giving them some information and teaching little classes and things like that. And instead we just did book giveaways this year. So that's kind of what we did for that. Gateway's doing, they're all looking at ways to live stream, like they're doing their talent show. That's what they're planning to do, is just different ways to continue to do some of the activities, but maybe in slightly different ways. And then finally, just a reminder, this is a little sad reminder, we do have school this Friday, April 16th. If you look on the original calendar, that was supposed to be a day off. However, we traded it way back in March, and then it ended up being a snow day probably, but we traded it in March when we had so many teachers out they'd had their vaccination. And so we had like requests for, a ton of more than we could handle guest teachers that day. So that means that we do have school on Friday. However, there's no school for students on Monday and Tuesday, and then we have a professional day for students on Tuesday. So just a reminder.
Maybe we'll have a snow day on April 16th.
Yeah, that's what. We might.
It's Colorado.
Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
Board of Ed report, anybody? You have anything?
I actually do have something I wanted to talk about. As you guys know, I think I brought up before that I'm a representative for the board on Rotary, and we are doing this gift card drive. I brought this up a few months ago. And I just wanted to give a status that we did collect, I don't have the exact amount, but it's close to $2,050 that we were able to distribute in gift cards. And the majority of those are going to Woodland Park School District, but we're also giving a percentage to Purple Creek Victor. So someone had brought that up, and they have needs there too. So the community, wants to give to them as well. So I thought that was good. Also, just today, I wanted to let you know, and I wanted to see if we can get some help. We had a donation from Christy and Will Hensley in memory of their son, Jaden, that came in. I don't know if you guys all remember Jaden. He was in our middle school, but they gave a donation of $2,000 to the gift card project. So that's significant. And we just wanted to make sure that we sent out a recognition of that. So I might want to get with you, Linda. Maybe we could draft something in general, just a recognition to Rotary and kind of this whole project. Yeah, that would be great. What we've given to the families in need. Yeah, and then we can also mention this one. I think would be important. Yep. And I think that Rotary wants to put something in the paper as well to kind of align with whatever we're going to say. So, yeah, great. I just wanted to give a status on that.
Very good. Thanks for doing that, Nancy. It's early in the morning.
Yes, it is.
It's the early morning meeting. Very good. Awesome. Anything else? No? Then I call this meeting to adjourn. Do we need a motion? Can't remember what we've done.
No? Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, motion
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Austin.
Aye.
Dottie.
Aye.
Graber.
Aye.
Huber.
She's done.
Okay, Lucky. Aye.
There you go. That's weird, not seeing Beth in that computer screen.
Who made that motion to adjourn? I didn't write it down. Any seconds?
We can end this.